두 번 연속 어떻게 보면 LPL 대표 참여하게 됐는데 가슴이 뛰는 일이고 그리고 이번 연도에도 우승해서 돌아갈 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
Well, here we go, guys. We are back after that last break, and hearing a little bit from DBL, and it looks like we will be seeing FPX on the stage joining us for game number 3. You can see them there on the left side. We'll be going up against Dashing Buffalo for our third match and potentially final one here in this semifinals.
Throwing the gauntlet seems like putting in FPX at this point, and this is what I was worried about. You're putting in Dashing Buffalo as your best team. Immediately, LPL is going to be throwing down what would be, of course, IG and FPX, the strongest teams from the LPL. It's going to be a tough one for Dashing Buffalo to come in with.
It is definitely an interesting decision not to run IG, right? Maybe FPX just have business to prove when it comes to the stage here at Rift Rivals. Speaking of business to prove, there is a sub, and interestingly, for the first time since MSI, Shuhao is back. Did not play in the domestic scene so far in summer, but Raizo, Shuhao, Null, Big Coral, and Pallet. Must admit, though, it does feel a bit more like giving experience on a stage like this to Shuhao rather than necessarily running the strongest possible 5 for a victory.
Meliodas is their best player, flatly put. Doesn't make sense if you're trying to give some hope to, LMS and VCS to at least take a game in this best of 5. To be throwing in Shuhao right now.
Yeah, it is kind of unfortunate to look at. Kind of just feel like they're charging forward like a Buffalo towards that 0 and 11. We'll hope that that doesn't happen, but unfortunately, that's kind of the way it looks when they are going up against this lineup from FPX.
Of course, no changes to be made here. Gimgoon, Tien, DBL, LWX, and Crisp. Our focus is on DBL. We saw multiple interviews coming out in the previous days. Rounding out, he feels like, he has a lot to prove, much to be expected. Undefeated in the LPL coming into this point and immediately taking that first loss to Kingzone in a decisive fashion. So feels like they do have a chip on the shoulder. To your point, feels like coming out here is a point of pride for FPX, wanting to come out against Dashing Buffalo.
I mean, my personal hope is that DBL has a new pick to show us, because he was pretty vocal in interviews after day number 1 saying, all right, the move from 9-11 to 9-13 has really hurt the LPL. Some of our old picks that we leaned on are now a little bit more towards the side. He brought out an old pick, right? The Orianna was his pick yesterday. They found a victory with that. Today, I want to see some more quintessential DBL.
Yeah.
I look at this guy as someone who looks at everyone's base kit. If he sees the CC, he likes it, and any tank can go in the mid lane if it's DBL.
I mean, I think that's what we're all hoping for at this moment in time. In the beginning of this day, we were saying, hey, maybe the LMS VCS region can come back and get at least one win. That was the hope, but now it's kind of hoping, what kind of fun picks are we going to see? That's what this has come to.
At the end of the day, you charging forward, you still have Pallet, Big Coro in the bot side of the map. Dashing Buffalo still have a very strong dual lane that they can back up.
And honestly, we have seen the 2 LMS teams. They did not necessarily represent their regions with pride in the first 2 games in terms of competitive series. Now it's on to the VCS, right? And this is a fusion combo squad. So there's a real chance the VCS can walk away with their head held higher than their regional buddies.
I mean, that is the hope here. They did come over to the blue side. I believe that's to the choice of FPX, actually, because it is the 3rd game, and the team that had the higher seed did get to choose for 1, 3, and 5. So yet another team coming in here and choosing the red side.
There's a jungle focus coming in from Dashing Buffaloes. It's going to be interesting. I know Tien, one of our best performing junglers in the spring split, was 3rd place in MVP votes. Now, a lot of people initially thought that him and DBL, that synergy was mostly dominated by DBL. One of the best teams in the LPL challenged DBL, put him underneath tower, and forced Tien to go on his own and create his own advantages. He did just that. So one of our rising stars in jungle talent. It's going to be interesting to see what we can see from Shuhao.
And I thought it's when Shuhao went out and Meliodas came back in that kind of the Feng Fu Buffalo at MSI really started to hit back into the sort of gear we kind of gave this region respect for. I thought Shuhao looked a little bit lost in some of his early games, and he hasn't had stage games to build up a lot of synergy with Null. I'm sure the scrims have been plentiful. Zooming in on this particular draft, you'll notice that Yuumi once again goes unbanned. Sejuani blue side man, Karma blue side man. The Lux is there as a response, but for the Dashing Buffalo, Pallet's jumping on the cute cat.
And FPX have at least had some great adaptations since their first loss to Kingzone when, we saw Tushin's Yuumi essentially run rampant with depth. Now it's been, for FPX at least, early prioritize your support pick so you don't have to go into an Alistar pickup. So at least Nautilus is up and available. Lux is the primary one that Crisp is going to be picking up.
And they've had their experience against the Lucian recently. Death's Lucian was on point on day number 1 of this tournament. The biggest upset, I would say, of the best of 1 stage, the only real true upset was out of form Kingzone, upsetting previously undefeated in match score FPX. And they're stealing away some early priority. This seems like a let's go home early duo of picks.
Gotta like it. You know, we'll see if they do lock it in, but it just screams confidence, and it shows that they're coming in here and they're not really messing around. They want to bring it to them straight away in the lane.
And I want to see this Chinese aggression. It's been an open meme for so long. I want the here for a good time, not a long time 5 champions on the side of FPX. Give me all the early power spikes. Where's the Xin Zhao at? Let's go real hard at this.
I mean, coming into this event, 10 and 12 is what we're seeing here from just the win rate on red side from FPX. They prefer red side, and it's primarily being able to swap between Doinbi and Gimgoon with the multiple bruisers that they have there. Kled players and Renekton players. So Renekton on the board for FPX. Don't expect another potential top laner until we get to see him in second phase.
And with FPX's dominance, people see Doinbi play a champion and they copy it. They take that Renekton to the mid lane, and sometimes it works, sometimes Kuro for a particular example that works to both regions. It doesn't. So you're right. Open flex pick there. Gimgoon was always a mad scientist of a player. He always played a lot of crazy stuff in the top lane, whether he was in Korea or over in China. No surprise to see the Lux taken against the Yuumi. Very, very standard now. But definitely seems like Dashing Buffalo are there more for the long time, as they have the Vladimir locked in already.
Yeah, that's what I'm not liking here. You're seeing a combination of the Ezreal Yuumi and a Vladimir pickup by Dashing Buffalo showcases that they're going to guarantee get shoved in 2 of these lanes now. Vladimir doesn't matter if he goes mid or top lane, depending on, to be fair, what Doinbi picks up and if he's going up against the Vladimir. I just think it's much easier for FPX in draft, recognizing Lucian and the Lux will be able to have shove and trade, and the Renekton should match the Vladimir.
And Raz, you've had a lot of time, you actually spent a lot of time speaking to Doinbi. I know he's been interviewed by the China side. I know he's one of the more easy to communicate players with on the LPL side. How do you think he backs up from losing to that Kled pick, the top lane Kled that Kingzone kind of surprisingly sprung on FPX 2 days ago? Is there a chance that he just rolls it out, brings it back, goes on the mid lane Kled and says, this is one way to bring up the momentum coming into the last day?
Hell yeah. I mean, he definitely doubles down as a player. I remember that iconic interview with, Clement was taking with Doinbi, where he says, yeah, I mean, I hear the fans, I hear the criticisms, I don't give a damn about it. Like, he's going to still build the way he does, pick the way he does, because it's a successful strategy for him in the regular season.
If you're on the red side in FPX, you're just waiting for that flex pick, last pick solo laner to show us all information. Dashing Buffalo, it almost feels like they kind of have to go back to Kennen or something super safe here, depending on where the Vladimir is going. Can they make an identity? Wow, they're taking the Nocturne a little bit out of meta here. They're looking for a diver for a teamfight comp, but they need lane power, otherwise the Nocturne might have to be counter-ganking all over the map.
It's a good combination if they have the window that you're talking about with Yuumi and Nocturne as engaged, but that's the problem here. You're at least getting some wave clear if this Azir gets locked in, but how many losing lanes are we really talking about here from the Dashing Buffalo?
We're not sure yet. We need to see this final pick to really understand it. Early priority for Renekton in the Vlad matchup before Vlad gets all of his levels and gets into a great spot.
Lock it in! Doinbi as a streamer, he goes wild when he's on Yasuo. He had that training montage on stream saying, yeah, no, give me the Yasuo pick so he can raise up the experience on it.
And you know what? Doinbi brings in the Renekton, he brings in the Kled mid. He's doing it the hard way on this Yasuo. Not that much knock-up synergy on his team. No Gragas on his side. So there's not a lot going on there. It could be tricky.
The Abscond Abduct is good enough to be able to get that
all
knock
right,
up.
we're at single.
We got that
single
one.
friend.
But they're
you
a good
can't
friend.
say I have a lot of friends and point at one person. That's not how it works.
Unless if they're a really good friend. The super friend.
Well, we're working on getting there.
That's the thing. His best friend was banned, so he had to point to his one other friend, right?
Well, his
Poor
backup friend
Silas.
is no Gragas, it turns out, but the Silas is powerful. This could be really, really fun. Like you say, has played a lot of the Yasuo on his stream. A big streamer in Korea and China, of course. Interesting that we don't see IG. We may not see them until tomorrow. They're biding their time. The LMS VCS, they ain't got no time to bide, Valdez. They're already 3 match points down.
Another thing to take note of is before the changes happened to Silas, FPX were already flexing the Silas into the jungle. So Tien has already played quite a bit of Silas for himself, once in competitive, I know a whole bit in solo queue. So this is a comfortable combination coming in from FPX.
You gotta like it. It should be a lot of fun here, at least for a game that could be closing us out for the day. Game number 3, FPX, FunPlus Phoenix, going up against Dashing Buffalo for game number 3 right now. Well, there we go. Giving all a chance to shout out their favorite team, and well, FunPlus Phoenix coming out ahead in that one. And how can you not like this one? The Yasuo picked up here for the mid lane for Doinb.
But you start doing math, and we already got to 1 when it comes to amount of knock-up friends that Yasuo has. I can also count to 3, and it's 3 kind of losing presence lanes. I'd say level 1, level 2 is always strong, but of course, the moment you have that win wall, you can be pretty active around minion waves and get some control in the mid lane. You'd always take Lucian, Lux, and in the early game, the Renekton and the Vlad matchup, you get take a little bit of ranged harass, but mostly you can kind of shrug it off with something like a Doran shield. So Nocturne doesn't have a lot of strong lanes to jungle around and then double down at level 6, so very interested to see what the pathing looks like here. He's actually going to get a topside leash from the Vladimir.
Yeah, I want to see what we get out of Tien as well. A lot of the times teams when they go up against FPX, they try and hard force the 2v2 mid because that's where they're strongest. Doinb and Tien, whenever they have shove, they do want to rotate consistently to be able to either get a dive on top side or bot lane, especially where the trading is going to be heavy for LWX and Chris. So that's going to be a primary focus for me. I would be surprised if Shuhao is going to be able to get much of a hand on his own Raptors with how this mid lane should be going.
Isn't it fun that you can see 2 runes that really play into a champion's playstyle? The Renekton and the Silas both with Last Stand, and that's what those champions are famous for, turning around 1v2s or surprising heals from Call of the Meek or the Kingslayer on the side of the jungle. Silas, so a little fun thing there and a little option you might consider in solo queue. For now, at least, Gimgoon being very respectful. It's a full topside clear from Tian, going for the quick level 3. Silas does have a lot of trouble even clearing the jungle without 3 abilities to be able to spam up his passive.
Gimgoon respectful for now. We'll see if he can put on some pressure, especially before that Vladimir does get up and running to that level 9.
Oh, it's the new Yasuo skin.
Yeah.
The final boss Yasuo, all right.
Looks nice. Very shiny.
No sellout over here. Not Riot Casters, by the way.
By the way, that Teemo figurine, limited edition, it's very popular
And
here. It's got the X's
could
on
we
his
interest
eyes.
the stream in the exclusive Rift Rivals mouse pad available only at the store here? Just come on down. I'm sure you're all within walking distance of Zhangcheng Arena
I
and
picked
Seoul.
one up myself, but
If we talk about the games, it might be sadder. So we'll just do some sellout for now.
I appreciate that. Maybe get myself some dead Teemos. There's going to be a few dead champions.
You know,
Oh,
this game is definitely building towards some crazy team fights that could be pretty bloody, but for now we know that Shuhao is most interested in just farming, so he's a bit of a hater of the kill a minute action.
That was a nice ward here. Gimgoon having good vision of Shuhao on the top side of the map. And it allows, Tien to be able to do his work bot side, but great trade on him.
Conqueror was the decision here from Gimgoon, which is much more for the extended all-in rather than the press the attack you might have assumed for the burst trades. Renekton can proc that entirely with his W if he has enough rage. Speaking of rage, this might be rage-inducing.
no vision here. He has to flash away. They do get the knock-up, but we're just at level 4. But that is still a successful gank to take that summoner away from Null.
That early summoner, and Null is finding it incredibly difficult to fully shove this wave into the turret. Doinb is going to have this freeze, it seems, at least took this wave across. But this is tough for Null. I mean, remember, one of the greatest things at FPX here is being able to time summoners, be able to come back ganks on the mid lane, so already having a tough time here.
And I don't like Zhu Hao's pathing. He's thinking about, can I find an angle on top side, when he should be pathing to mid lane and doing the one thing Nocturne can do, Pre6. It can help you push. He's got an AoE pushing spell that he uses to clear the waves, so
oh, no.
He's not helping his mid lane, and now we're having a bot lane party, and Dashing Buffalo only now start to get the full information.
You can see it was just a simple trade from the bottom side. On the side of FunPlus, Phoenix was able to press the attack onto that Ezreal. Fortunately for FLICKR, he is able to get a bunch of his health back.
That is the most aggressive control ward you could ever imagine to be placed at 5 minutes. He puts a control ward on the enemy side. He knows that Nocturne is pathing towards the top side because he hasn't been shown anywhere, so he must be going for the Krugs. The counting of camps and when they respawn is a pretty standard thing to do. But Zhu Hao not helping with the push in mid lane suits Doinby just fine, and of course the bot lane was able to be the profit from it as well.
At least Big Koro and Pallet are able to sustain throughout these trades. Seems like Tian's going to be able to get him here.
All right, nice spell shield there. Going to keep him alive for now, but here comes Doinby, and he's level 6. He's looking for it, and the wind wall is perfect. There's that flash on in, and Zhu Hao doesn't have much left available, but the fear will come in. It might be enough.
No way.
He's doing it!
I spoke too early. Another spell shield, though, comes in, but the knockup from that Silas, as you mentioned, and he might survive. No, Null is going to put him in his grave finally, and it looks like Chris might just pay for it as well on the backside. A double kill here for Null in the mid lane.
Great comeback. It just seemed like Doinby and Tian had a one-track mindset to get that kill. Zhu Hao played it as well as he could with the spell shield. At least they were able to get something back from it, but take a look at this.
And Zhu Hao level 5, the spell shield, like you mentioned, is great because it actually opens up space, but you can tell what Doinby is trying to do here. He's in front of the Korean crowd, never played in Korea, as a player who right now, I think it doesn't require an LPL analyst to say this, I think he's probably the best player to have never made Worlds that is around and still playing the game. He's trying to prove himself to the domestic fans here, going for style play, trying to make people in Korea speak Doinby with the same reverence they do in China, but it's far, far too forced. In the end, will it matter? Maybe no, but for now, it's a kill trade up for Dashing Buffalo.
You can see him, he was trying to dash in and out of the turret range. He ended up taking so many turret shots on the backside. Maybe if they could have juggled the aggro a little bit better, it would have looked a little bit less inty, you could say there, or forced is another way to put it, in that dive. But either way, I mean, they're just looking for kills. That was only at 6 minutes.
Does mean that Zhu Hao, very surprisingly, gets to level 6 and without too much damage to his name. Died once, but it was a trade up overall from FPX, and now you wonder, with some summoners on cooldown, Lux not good against gap close and can't scout out with the E and Nocturne as easily.
And a lot of those summoners were expended because of that play. I mean, no flash on the Yasuo. If we're just talking about how to be able to set up a gank through mid, yeah, both Sleepy Trouble Bubble and the Nocturne Fear should be fine at being able to take down that one cleanse and still make the gank happen. So that's something to take a look at, but Zhu Hao seems to be looking bot lane.
We're level 6 and we're fighting. No flash, no heal on the Lux in the bottom lane. Final chapter trying to be red here. It is going to lock him down. Can Big Koro do the damage is the question.
One more.
X is going to force to be flashed away, but here comes the TP. After he goes down, can Gimgoon do it all by himself? He's looking for the Ezreal. The flash comes through, and he will at least be able to pick up one kill.
Send the bleeding a little bit, but that's a nice setup. We talked about how Lux is a very likely recipient of an aggressive gank. A lost chapter actually only came up from the kill credit involvement from Ayumi. Teleport comes in. Lane swap from Lucian. Could try to stay here for 10 minutes, and the Rift Herald. And Raizo just wants to get out, wants to push this one and shove. This could be a big momentum shift towards FPX. They can go, send all members bot side, and then group with Lucian and take the Rift Herald to get the Infernal and off-spawn Rift Herald duo basically instantly.
Yeah, it did look a little bit messy, of course. The Nocturne kind of doing his job, but they dive all the way in. They get the response kill, and those big objectives you mentioned were picked up by FPX.
And take a look at this once again. You already mentioned Summoner off of Lux, easy gank to come across. Well executed by both the Lost Chapter, or Final Chapter is, alongside Big Crow to make the second kill happen. The teleport came in, would seem a bit late. They didn't think that the kill would come through on the LWX, and at least Gimgoon gets a trade across.
You're right in just terms of, yay, we got a kill, we're not being wiped.
Yeah.
But it is another full minion wave to Vladimir as he gets closer and closer to level 9, so you don't even feel ideal about it. Gimgoon just wanted to pick up the kill, and sometimes staving momentum can be an important thing. First use of the Paranoia, always something we inspect these globals. It was a good one. The second use is very clearly going to be in bot side as Zhuhao is on into the camp and then some.
Yeah, Flash is still down by Crisp. Same with Doinby. The opening is still available, so
Heal
let's see if we can get another one.
Heal Guardian is up. Something to remember. Here we
There
go.
we go again. He's out of vision, so they got to go on the Lucian here. Final Chapter will lock him down. And LWX with no flashes here, and they might just get a 2-for-1. Not quite, as the Q is going to go wide from the Ezreal, but another successful gank in the bottom lane.
By hook or by crook, they do it. They have to land everything. Not everything is clean, but they get the kill. This was very transparent to the side of FPX, and yet it was still successful. And why is Crisp still here?
He needs to get out, but at least he has Tien around.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, Zhuhao, you went a little bit too far this time around, and now the Final Chapter. They're under the turret. Thankfully, they have some minions, but here comes Tien. He's thinking about it here. Nice amount of burst damage. Will be able to take down Big Koro as Crisp is going to come in and take that kill. And oh boy, we're killing the cats in the bot lane. No mercy for the cat down there. So a bunch of extra kills go the way of FPX after that big time dive.
And you know what? We needed extra context. Why he's still there. Quickly, the Silas showed why.
Yeah, it comes right down bot lane. Remember, he has Conquerors, easy trade to be able not just protect them, but to keep them firm, keep them steady. The pick up on the Final Chapter ultimate. Nice bait. I didn't expect the flash. When Nocturne flashed over, ended up paying for it.
Choose one adjective to describe that level of baiting, Raz.
Unfortunate.
I
know it's not.
I would have chosen
I know it's
masterful,
not.
but
Yeah.
this was a really extended chase here. Big Koro is dying. Sadly, the cat doesn't have flasher boots, so you know what? You're going to die here.
Yeah.
What is there to say?
Oh.
What did we miss on the top side, though?
Well, he went in here.
Perhaps a kill as, oh boy, Raizo got a little bit too close there. Had to flash away.
Nice moment overall from Gimgoon, though, with no Ignite, obviously, to finish off the kill. We talked about the earlier 10-minute potential to pick up this Rift out. We're not too far from there. FPX, since they turned the map, are trying to dominate it.
And you can see that Big Koro and Paladin downstairs. And, well, Zhuhao, all alone, he takes the Paranoia, but is not going to use that ultimate just yet. TP comes in from those guys as Gimgoon is already just disengaging, looking to catch the wave down bot after the Rift Herald goes the way of FPX.
But this is what you were alluding to, Papa Smithia, the fact that they can just play back to the top side Rift Herald, end up picking it up for themselves, looming over, just in case nothing ends up happening.
Doinby seems to be positioning more for the outplay than anything, and again, can understand that with kind of the level and the feel of the game so far today. Dashing Buffalo still in this one, only 500 gold behind, but the two objectives, Infernal and Rift Herald. Rift Herald probably represents money soon, and speaking of money soon.
Wow, really? Is that where you're going to be throwing that?
That's pretty good scouting, honestly.
Yep.
Good idea. As, okay, Rift Herald comes in. Final Chapter going to be red to Gimgoon here, but he's looking to turn it around. His Pallet, where are you going? You got to stick to your friend there. They will eventually get the Renekton, but that's just going to be it as Doinby. He's on a mission here going all the way in the back line. Will be punished for it. Tien will at least be able to lock him down with the help of Crisp as they are really trying to show off here in this game.
Yeah, punished heavily. Doinby goes over the wall, but at least they can say that they took the mid lane turret because the Rift Herald did the work for them.
Gank Rush. Nope, not a Gank Rush. Definitely not Fnatic Rush is what we got going on over here. Raizo will get away from it. It is killer minute action. We've kind of been craving this for a lot of the tournament. We start with the replay here, and the big thing is that this Final Chapter was a bit of a page turner. They went through it really quickly, And it was quick reading, and the cat dies to start things off.
Yeah, the sustain over Renekton actually kept them in it a lot longer, so FPX had a chance to take this fight. But take a look at the pathing here from DoinB. Still wants to be able to get out, probably just wants to E, do the double members.
I mean, you call it pathing. He just kind of went into 3 people.
What are we looking for, boys?
I mean, a little bit more foresight into how strong he was and how many enemies there were. Am I asking for too much, Raz?
Yes.
Okay.
DoinB has one mission. He picks Yasuo. He's here to make the YouTube highlight plays.
I mean, I think he just should
He's
have
not
renamed.
gonna run away.
He should have just been going forward this game instead of DoinB. Because he is super aggressive, super on point, trying to make that big moment. Dashing Buffalo pushing through the top side, but as a reaction, FPX picking up a lot of gold.
Absolutely. So, nice little push up here in the top side. Gimgoon gonna shut that down. Take a look at the difference in plates down in the bottom side. That's a cool 960 going the way of FPX.
And a cool 0 going the way of Dashing Buffalo. I mean, this is the potential 0-11 game.
That was literally just the worst Buffalo in a China shop. Plates just kept alive.
Well, here we go. 4-on-1. Can they do it? The answer is going to be yes, as Pallet was tanking the majority of that turret somehow.
FPX trading up on the bot side, though. Starting to get into that festival atmosphere that some of the games have been played on. Lucian at the play the Rune King mark. Renekton dead, so right now the lane buster build isn't going to mean much, and Raizo has the same sort of items we saw from Noguri before he really started to turn on the style, so there's always that hope, always that prayer that Vladimir can just carry a team almost solo in the late game. Gonna watch this replay. There's 4 members here, and Gimgoon definitely overstayed.
Yeah, I thought he could outplay there. Remember, clearing out the wave, at least protecting the turret, keeping his team, getting their good base times off on the bot side of the map.
Your glass is really half full over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your cup is runneth over, you might say. Well, that was, that's a decision you could make, and Gimgoon has to live with it for the rest of his long career. All going to push through mid side. And look, playing to the Zoe lane might help with sieging, because right now, with no turret behind her, you can't be as cute at trying to poke around win walls when you make the wrong move and Yasuo all-in potential is super high.
Yeah, now just casually picking up 3-0-1 scoreline so far, and you can tell now with the Ludens that he's looking for opportunities, but here comes the flank. Gimgoon looking to come into the backside. Paranoia trying to just get out of the way of that Renekton, and it looks like perhaps the disengage as the final chapter will lock down DoinB and stop him from coming in.
Very clean disengage Paranoia use. Read the situation well, to give credit to him, because he was able to both waste the time of the flanking Renekton and also use the ult to taxi him into a defensive position overall. So nice little play there.
They can just rehash that play, Dashing Buffaloes that is, just around the mid lane, being able to chip down that turret. So understanding that the side lane was a possibility coming in from Renekton. That's 2 times now that Renekton on side trying to come in for a flank has been cut off. So Gimgoon getting a bit frustrated here.
Still Dashing Buffalo can reset the map for now. If you look at the control wards, Dashing Buffalo in a pretty decent spot with those. It has been kind of a conspicuous thing today, as the vision level and has been down and the aggression level up, which sometimes is a reflection of your opposition and your confidence coming into a game. Why waste the vision when you can put it into damage that kills people? Speaking of, Tian trying his chances.
Yeah, as we mentioned, we were talking about DoinB just going face forward. Tian, if he has the Yasuo nearby, he'll at least force the pool to get away from that Vladimir.
I mean, this is just good lane assignment here from FPX. Vladimir can't do much to be able to join his team underneath his tower consistently. And LWX, though, he might get opened up on his section mid lane just so they can get constant trade on Big Koro. But, I mean, you can just see Chris was roaming around with the jungle, so had an opportunity to be able to isolate LWX.
And Noel has a lot of items. CS for CS, but the 3 kills his way, 300 bounty. A lot of gold already on. It's not double pen, it is the CDR boots. I'm sure that's going to be useful with flashes in this game, but just a point of order there. They can't trifle around the Zoe too much. Juha being chased.
Good last second spell shield once again. It's been a very key ability for the Nocturne. We were kind of Surprised to see that Nocturne come in here a little bit out of meta, but so far it's been good to at least escape the Sylas aggression.
And there are comps that I think Nocturne can definitely be exploited if you can baby him through laning phase, and if you can baby Sejuani, why not a Nocturne is kind of the thing you could ask on that. Lux, for example, as a champion, has always been shut down by gap closers like the Nocturne. Varus, AD carry, for example, is still being mixed in, so there still is going to be scenarios where that works. But here, with so much teamfight and brawl, the Nocturne timing can be turned on really, really easy. Throw up the gold difference graph. Does show you that even though a lot of the map looks pretty kind to Dashing Buffalo, the items are still in FPX's favor.
Yeah, they're having a fun time. They also did pick up that Infernal Drake earlier on from that messy fight that we did have in the bottom side. Also a Cloud Drake, a second one here. Looking to be picked up currently by Tien and Crisp right now.
Yeah, no contest for this Cloud Dragon, but all eyes are on Suhao. Possibility to be able to go on top of Renekton. Don't think they have an eyes on him, but one thing I really want to see is, you know, Dashing Buffalo taking advantage on FPX trying to take on side lane. Putting Doinby on the bot side with a Vladimir may seem okay, but really hard to catch out the Nocturne on Vision when he has his ultimate up and locked in. One more level before he can put another rank. I think this is the great position for Dashing Buffaloes, honestly. I
actually appreciate, though, Doinby's item choice has gone Sterix second. We actually see PD full damage recently, and this is a build that kind of left the meta a little bit. It allows you to overextend. If you're going to lead with your face as Yasuo, go the tankier build that lets you kind of fish for your knock-up a bit more aggressively. We already talked about how he can't just chill and wait for a Gragas barrel. He does have to have no chill in the fights, so the build fits it, and if you're going to try and play 3 lanes with no TP on the Yasuo, it does make sense.
Definitely is a feel-good build here as Dashing Buffalo just trying to make the most use of their Zoe as possible. See if they can get any picks down, and now they're looking for a potential pick onto Gimgoon.
Here we go.
Ryzo just gonna run straight at him here. Here comes the Nocturne. Hemoplague already down. Flash into the turret, but Ryzo, he's not messing around. Suhao wants to take it up, but the stun comes in.
No way!
And the health regen is gonna be enough, and Gimgoon will shut him down underneath the turret.
That's what we were hoping for from Suhao and Ryzo, but when it comes to the execution, just completely blown away by Gimgoon.
It's almost like they were shouting, by the way, Nocturne's coming in, as they came up for the gank. And by the time they went in, Nocturne could only tank the turret for the Vladimir to finish off the kill. We were eye-opened by how much damage it opened, but it didn't have the lethal dose at the end. Renekton turns around a gank. Who's to say that's a surprise? Tien fishing, but doesn't find any more.
And the Renekton, I mean, we just talked about it earlier today. You don't want a 2-on-1 Renekton, even underneath the turret, especially underneath the turret. And that one was kind of a 1v1 under the turret, at least. And Gimgoon from ahead showing why that Renekton has some power and why it's picked so often.
But that's the key point. The turret needs to be taken down. If we're talking about Nocturne opening up lanes, those lanes need to be open. And so Renekton being able to just turtle up underneath tower in that 2v2. If Suhao was simply able to join his friend there, then that's great. That's fine. Gimgoon should be dead.
And for example, if there was a ward in the brush and they were able to dive in on the Nocturne and get, say, 300 damage off, there would have been a kill. But at about 200, falls to 100 health, Gimgoon comes in. The Call of the Meat gives you a casual 400 worth of healing. The plan was just too transparent. Speaking of plans.
Oh, good read on the binding there, Chris. He wanted his own highlight from this one, as here comes the Sylas from the other side. And now it is just the landslide of FPX rolling over Dashing Buffalo. Ryzo all alone, somehow able to pick up LWX on the backside, but that's 4-1 in favor of FPX.
Happened real quick just off the replay, so I was wondering if they wanted to be able to go for the inhibitor turrets, but with Vladimir just sitting there, easy Baron to pick up.
And it's been the LPL special today. A bit of an indifferent 20 minutes into decisive fight, Baron, and game closeout. That's what they've been looking for with their tanks. The turret dive potential is huge from FPX, and that Baron buff is an afterthought.
Down it does go. Ryzo just doing whatever he can, which is, he will get this tier 1 mid turret, but it is nothing compared to what FunPlus Phoenix just picked up.
And this is what you hate to see happen, because Suhao has been escaping for so long, but flashing straight into it.
Flash binding,
eviscerated.
beautiful
Yeah.
from Crisp. That's the reason they get all of this, and the stolen away, hijacked ultimate allows for the eventual chase. Gimgoon this time is under a turret, but this one's an enemy one. This one's under his own terms.
And sits there, tanks it up, casual stun right onto that back line. And yeah, I mean, the Nocturne into the Silas may be early on, but when you're behind, TN just says, hey, I can be Nocturne as well.
I think some of the Korean fans who were in the audience today probably bought a ticket to see one of their heroes in Rookie and the Shy or Duke play. Seeming unlikely, guys. The 0-11, the specter of it, is looming large. Gimgoon can't just burst down Vladimir. That's not an easy thing to do, but who's going to catch who in transition here as we fight through the red side jungle?
Looking for the final chapter again. A blasting plant's going to be a big savior as now Tian taking a bunch of damage on the backside. Nice little dash away. He's gonna just laugh at him as he gets away from that one.
The silent lane right now is top lane. Yasuo is being left to this one. Of course, Zoe finally joins, but with all that damage being placed down, here's another opening.
All right, just trying to force it here. It feels like, where is the damage? Where is it coming from? I don't see any of it as they're full health on the red side here. Zuhao immediately gonna go down after that GA. You can see Raizo desperately trying to do some damage, but now he's all alone. And this is really just a one-slided landslide over to FPX again.
They saw the Renekton, and the moment you have eyes on that and Vladimir can't pursue forward, it just seems all hope is lost.
It does appear that way for the LMS VCS combo and specifically for Dashing Buffalo. FPX, just like in game number 1. LPL team gets Baron. They're styling. It seems like right now, the match timer will extend, but the pace of this game has really been one way ever since the Baron went down.
Take a look at the replay. You can see they're just desperately trying to get damage down onto the AD carry, but there was none.
Yeah, it's just a solo dive in, and the healing from the redemption just turns it instantly, and suddenly everyone's out of position. Gimgoon's scouted by a Mystic shot, but still does so much work on the bottom side of this fight.
I mean, just the light bindings consistently from Chris landing there too, because even though the final chapter was able to just stun 2 members, I mean, what are you going to be doing as Nocturne? You can't follow up with you just sitting there.
I'm always looking for new adjectives, and Crisp is aptly named for this game. He has been on point with his skill shot accuracy on the Lux, one of the now super standard meta picks in the support role. Baron buff power play. It isn't quite what we saw in game number 1, but 4,500 without breaking into a sweat.
It does feel similar, maybe not as able to close the game as fast as that game number 2, but it's kind of just barring into, I'm going to roll my face over the keyboard
Oh boy.
kill you a bunch of times. As nice footwork there from Null. He's at least able to get away. He's had a decent game, but not too much support from his team so far.
And now Dashing Buffalo have one roll of the dice left, or they will just watch on like Flash Wolves and lose the game around them. Final Spark, not going to be a lot of damage from the support roll, but we're running out of objectives to defend on the side of Dashing Buffalo.
One thing that's fine is FPX doesn't have a bot lane wave to roll with. They're going to be throwing Renekton now at it, but they're the type of team, if they just have 2 waves, 2 lanes, they'll just commit to the dive. So with the build that we have already, Asterix Gage from, you already mentioned, and Duembi, he's more than willing to look for it.
I mean, the guy's just packing up all the different swords and gloves and everything. He's just having a grand old time building whatever item he wants. Has a ton of CS already at 28 minutes into the game. And once again, it just feels like the LPL came in here to play, whereas can't really say the same on the opposite side. It has been one-sided today.
And it's disappointing because the LMS was reinforced by the VCS to have a bit more competition after last year not really being able to find anything. Flash Wolves found, I believe, 1 or 2 game victories. No other team did. Paranoia popped, and this is a stolen one.
Looking for it on the backside here is Tien. Not quite gonna dive as, okay, stopwatch. Let's see if the damage can come out. Good flash away as Raizo is gonna have to get out of there himself. But yeah, kind of just playing with their food, going super deep looking for kills.
Just trying to skip steps to end the game faster as FPX, but again, to finish the point, they brought in the VCS side to amp up the squad, so to have a worse result than last year where only Flash Wolves could pick up game victories is obviously very, very disappointing for, you know, a region that is the combination of the newest major region and, of course, a World Championship region now 7 years ago in the LMS.
We will have to wait and see what they can do as the years come along, but right now the message is being sent. The LPL is the strongest region amongst these two. We are going to have to wait and see.
I was like, you're an LCK caster. What you doing, mate?
Yeah.
Speaking of.
Well, you know, LWX wants to believe it, but okay. They're going to take the GA away here, at least, as you can see, kind of just desperately save his teammate, but can't really do much of that either, as Kimgoon not even going to lose that GA. And that's going to be the end of that.
Yeah, second Baron is on the Rift. Feels like FPX can fall back to whatever objective they want. Dashing Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Nice amount of burst damage here, even from the Yubi. Just easily going to sidestep that one, though, as Binding just to keep them away. Baron's available, so FPX going to set up for that now. As, oh boy, where are you going, Yubi? You're all alone. And Doinby's looking for the kill, but it's stolen again by Tien.
Died before the Yasuo ultimate animation come off, but no, watch yourself.
Oh boy, where are you going? Underneath the turret, they're not stopping as in goes LWX. They want all the kills, a huge amount of health regen, but Tien is gonna go down as finally the ace will come through on the side of FPX.
Yeah, and it looks like the doors are closing with the wave being pushed up here too. All you have is how to defend yourself.
And it's absolutely not going to be enough. At 31 minutes here, it looks like the LPL on the backs of FPX to finish it off will be taking game number 3 and will earn a spot into our final day of Rift Rivals tomorrow against the LCK.
And that means 3 years in a row, Rift Rivals' final day has been a best of 5 between the LCK and the LPL. We saw it coming, of course, coming into a day where LMS and VCS had recorded no victories. The 0 and 11 is in fact real. So unfortunately, the VCS top 2 seeds jumping in the spot of the 3 and 4 seed from the LMS haven't done anything to bolster their chances.
You're right. And the sad reality is the previous Rift Rivals event, the leader of the LMS region at the time was that Flash Rolls that has dominated internationally, but with that being deconstructed, really is just a rebuilding period for the region.
And of course, fans will always throw across terms that we always try to hold. For example, teams as chokers. We always try to really give a team multiple chances before we use something like that. But non-competitive is another one, and 0-11 is unfortunately the definition of non-competitive. It does feel like the real League of Legends will be solved tomorrow.
Yeah.
We should have a really great best of 5, even though the LPL teams, it's one of those weird scenarios where if you just look at their own play, all 3 teams were a little bit disappointing. I would imagine you would echo this, Raz, when I pass it over to you. However, given the opposition level they were playing, how much can you really infer from today is also kind of an open question.
I saw adaptations being made, and it is very difficult to be able to see it when you already made the mention of, non-competitive. But just through the drafting points alone, FPX being able to, go through that flex on solo lanes, flexing the Renekton as they did of old, and just being able to take the raw fights whenever they saw it possible, so they weren't over-respecting the enemy team. That's what you love to be able to see from teams like FPX, Top Esports, that we'll see again certainly tomorrow.
Going over some of the highlight package here. By the end, it was just honestly what we saw, I guess, from the start. The moment that Doinby was diving in between 2 turrets early in the game as Yasuo with no knock-up synergy, you knew what kind of a game this would be. FPX back away, and we knew that Baron was on the menu, but Pallet face checking. He's not even within W range of his ally, so I think that's a bit of a breakdown in communication between the usually very reliable bot lane duo.
ET Doinby finally gets to press that R button for a second time, maybe a third time this game. Gets it off just for a split second there, gets the kill, but then stolen away. And after that, it was just, once again, pressing all your buttons, as Atlas likes to say, smacking them with their wallets.
Yeah.
They were so far ahead at this point in time that it was just, we're diving, we're going face forward. And now we are going to hear from another member of this team. I'm going to hand it over to the interview.
대싱 버팔로를 꺾고 LPL을 결승으로 이끈 펀플럭스 피닉스의 티안 선수 모셨습니다. 그럼 첫 번째로 3대0 완승으로 결승에 진출한 소감 여쭤볼게요. Congratulations on the win. It was a clean sweep of LPL, so how do you feel right now?
首先恭喜你取得比赛胜利，然后这次的比赛也是3比0 LPL 取得胜利，你现在感觉怎么样？
感觉还不够吧，我们要好好准备明天的比赛。
He think this is not enough. They need to work harder to prepare for tomorrow's matchup.
아직 충분하지 않고 내일 있는 결승전 대회를 위해서 더 열심히 준비해야 한다고 합니다. 그럼 내일 만나게 된 LCK에 대한 LPL의 전력 평가 한번 들어볼게요. Then what do the LPL teams think of LCK? How strong they are and what their weaknesses are?
那也想听你评价一下你们明天的对手 LCK 赛区，然后想问一下，你觉得他们强吗？他们有什么弱点吗
？LCK 整体感觉都很强，弱点的话我不知道，所以明天我们看场上的表现。
Well, he think LCK is very strong as a region. As for weakness, he can't notice any. He'll have to see tomorrow.
네, LCK가 정말 강한 지역이라고 생각하고 아무런 약점을 발견하지 못했다고 합니다. 그래서 내일 상대해봐야 될 것 같다고 하는데요. 그럼 가장 경계되는 팀이 있는지도 한번 여쭤볼게요. Then is there a specific team that he worries of?
也想问一下你有没有哪支队伍明天碰上你会比较担心？
其实每一支队伍碰上我们都会就是全力以赴。要说有担心的话，其实应该最担心的应该是遇到格里芬吧。
You think all the teams are very strong. If he has to pick a team that he worries a little, it will be Griffin. Griffin.
만약에 모든 팀들이 정말 강해 보이기 때문에 가장 경계되는 팀을 고르라고 한다면 그리핀일 거라고 하는데요. 그럼 마지막으로 3년 연속 LPL의 리프트 라이벌즈 우승이 꼭 탐나는 타이틀일 텐데 각오 한마디 듣겠습니다. So I believe all the LPL teams really want the back-to-back title of Rift Rivals, so any resolution going into tomorrow's finals.
对，那么 LPL 在过去2届 Rift Rival 都达到的冠军，那么我们一定也知道 LPL 肯定想拿第3次冠军。那想问一下你们明天会有怎么样的办法去取得这个胜利？
就打好自己的，我觉得我们应该会赢。
He think they will just have to play their best. If they do that, they have a chance of winning.
네, 무조건 최선을 다해야 하고 그렇다면 기회가 있을 것이라고 합니다. 여기까지가 FPX의 티안 선수였습니다. 谢谢.
Well, there you do have it. A good interview once again. And yeah, we're going to take a look at some post-game stats. Forgot to put those up there before the interview, but here you do go. Doenby didn't do a lot of damage, but his team certainly rolled over Dash and Buffalo.
He tanked a lot of turret shots, so he's got that going for him. And like you say, 31 minutes was the final timer, but that one puts the LMS VCS out of the tournament, and now we can only look forward to what should be just an awesome best-of-5 tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like the last game that we saw in the group stage, IG versus SKT, we're going to be seeing that like a lot. A lot of these teams.
Give me 5 of those, mate.
Yeah.
Give me 5.
Yeah.
I was so excited. The last Rift Rivals that we were at, of course, was in China. It was super fun to see. You know, the passion that we were able to see out of, Doenby in particular, that gave LPL the lifeline to go into the final game where RNG was that team.
Oh, yeah.
That was emotional for everybody at that event, and I feel like we need to replicate that.
And it's still stuff that's left on the Rift from the Korean side of why wasn't it KT Rolster who were undefeated at that tournament? Why was it the FLICKR Freaks that were thrown in? The LCK has never won a Rift Rivals, and the LPL has come from this match to win Rift Rivals 2 years ago. So there's open business here, and I think we all sat there 2 years ago and didn't really know where Rift Rivals fit, whether it was EU, NA, or the Asian side of the coin. But in those 2 years since, the LPL won that one, and then outside of World Finals, really kind of took over the world until MSI and G2 were able to push forward. So I think this is kind of must win from the LCK side, and from the LPL side, they also want to show that the semifinals at MSI were a blip and not the start of a new chapter.
Because honestly, we're just going for that three-peat. And on top of that, Rift Rivals has always been that event that showed not only to the Chinese audience, but to the world that LPL was on the up and up, that really the depth of talent was there. the teams were only getting better.
Yep.
And it was really just like a last hurrah for them to be able to make international success. And then you obviously got to see what happened last year in 2018. So for us going into the third one, being able to lock that in, especially in Seoul, Korea, would mean a lot.
It was my favorite best of 5 to cast last year was that final. It's so unique, a best of 5 with potentially, 4 different teams rolling out and showing their wares. If it goes full 5 games, we're going to have plenty of highlight moments. So that's kind of my greedy hope for tomorrow, is a lot of competition, because sadly today, underwhelming on the competition side. I would say that LMS VCS teams were competitive for 10 to 12 minutes of these games, but when it fell away precariously, and the LPL were just too good.
Yeah, I mean, this is, as you mentioned it before, not very competitive. So we'll hope for those good games tomorrow. I'll be watching. Atlas is going to join for that cast with you two guys, but it definitely does feel like this time a true Rift rivalry between these two regions. All the things you guys were mentioning, the build-up between these two regions, the LCK kind of falling off. They want to prove it here against some of these super strong LPL teams that are looking to stay on top.
And it seemed like the LPL strategy for today came true, which was hide what you have. We saw Kanavi coming in from JDG. They didn't want to showcase too much. We saw from the second game as well, Moyu coming into the top lane. They said, hey, we just wanted to see the second strategy. We're not seeing the second strategy for tomorrow. We're seeing the primary strategy going up against the LCK.
And hopefully that means that they're scheming for ways to counter the LCK, because remember, the onus is on them. The group stage is very one-sided to the LCK outside of that final game between SKT and IG. So if they were able to look past the LMS and have been prepping for 2 days, we could have all sorts of dark techniques. Remember, Doinby's Kled and Doinby's magical picks lit up the arena in China last year, and there's a real chance he can do it again.
The special thing about this one, because of course we already saw, the Kled coming in from Rascal.
Yep.
It's beautiful for...
It's personal.
It is.
Yeah.
And even best, but when Doinby made the switch to Rogue Warriors to this team, he moved from being the only Kled player to having 2 Kled players on the same team. So there's a lot to be expecting here just based off the draft alone.
I know you might be disappointed, guys, with today, but tomorrow's best of 5 really could be outstanding. There's nothing like Rift Rivals, Asia Finals, 4 big teams, all of which can realistically take games off each other. That's what hype's made of.
Yeah, even if you're not usually watching these two regions, I mean, it's just going to be such a fantastic taste of what
Tickets
could be
sold out in like
an
hour for that final day.
This entire place is going to be filled up. I know right now it doesn't look very filled.
Nope.
Everybody kind of leaving quickly, maybe like halfway through that last game. But tomorrow, people are going to come early. Everybody's going to be here. It's going to be super packed out. I just can't wait to see the games tomorrow. They're going to be awesome.
Yeah, don't take our word for it. Come in tomorrow, join in the stream. It'll be a different experience for sure.
Yeah, and I think that, with 4.5K seats with what I'm hearing, and the last time with how loud the crowd was in
when
Dalian.
Doinby's Kled got over the line, it was insane. We couldn't hear each other. FLICKR and Atlas and I couldn't hear each other. It was that crazy.
So we got to have to see it tomorrow. It's the day to be putting on your calendar.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, guys. Thank you for joining us here tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow for the last day of Rift Rivals.